Today, the RTX 5090 is dead, prices are going up, AMD screwed us, and Ryzen 10,000 officially gets this. Welcome everyone to Gamer Mount. Okay, it's news time, and first up for today, as you'll quickly notice, I'm not in my normal studio. Don't worry, I will be back for my next video, but for now, there's some pretty big stuff to discuss. Like the fact that the RTX 5090 is apparently reaching end of life already. For those who may not have noticed or looked anytime recently, the RTX 4090 is really expensive. I mean, we're talking over $2,000 for a card that's like 3 years old at this point, and obviously given the fact that we're talking the 5090, there's a new generation that replaces it. Yet it's still that expensive, and it's likely because NVIDIA lowered or flat-ended production of the card long before the new series of GPUs were released. And at least according to Moore's Law is Dead, it looks like they might in fact be doing it yet again. So if you were hoping to wait maybe a few more months or pretty much any time at all for these cards to actually reach MSRP, they may never. As you can see right here, it says he's actually hearing this from two different sources. First, it says we, who is apparently a major retailer, have been warned that the Founders Edition of the RTX 5090 is expected to be phased out. Now hold on, you're probably hearing, oh, that's just the Founders Edition. Well, as we go further, it says, and that the MSRP models are expected to become nearly non-existent over time. Additionally, we have only been promised a couple more shipments of them. So after this holiday season, I am not even sure how real the RTX 5090 will be. You'll probably be able to get it on some websites, but don't expect to be anywhere near MSRP. Then the source 2 says, yes, I, major US retailer, have also heard that we should expect the RTX 5090 supply to be throttled heavily moving forward. Now, why in the world is NVIDIA doing this? Well, it's almost certainly because they want to focus primarily on AI, because obviously they make quite a bit more profit off of it. So yeah, like I said, if you were hoping to purchase an RTX 5090 and you at an actual reasonable price, you likely won't. And speaking of AI making prices go up, I've covered multiple stories proving that prices are skyrocketing. It all started with the chairman from ADATA who said that there's a perfect storm of simultaneous DRAM, SSD, and HDD shortages that are already upon us. Then, just recently, I believe in my last video, I discussed the fact that DRAM spot prices are now going through the roof. And that, of course, means that it will eventually affect retailers. And in fact, I'd also shown that even at retailers already, prices are going up. Well, it looks like it's going to be affecting even more things, and just as further proof that this is in fact the case, we now have a mini PC maker, Minus Forum, who's apparently hiking prices on all models with SSDs and DRAM. You can see right here that it says the mini PC maker, Minus Forum, just announced a price hike for its product lineup, except for bare bones models and items that do not come with DDR5 memory and SSD storage. The company made this announcement on X, suggesting that the change is brought about by increasing memory costs due to the massive demand AI hyperscale projects have put on the global memory supply, causing a worldwide NAND shortage that could last a decade. So yeah, this is even worse than what you originally thought, but here you can see that the price increase will take effect on Tuesday, November 4th, just as its Halloween sale ends, giving shoppers time to get their hands on Minus Forum products over the weekend before the hikes. So yeah, this really is not looking good. I mean, of course, we're talking potentially a decade. I do believe I also covered that story a little while back. But regardless, all I'm saying is that if you were hoping to purchase some DDR5 memory anytime in the near future, or potentially SSD storage, you may want to go ahead and do that because prices definitely do seem to be going up. And next up, AMD seems to have made just an absolute blunder. I mean, this is almost unbelievable. So there's actually two things here, two different stories. One, not that big of a deal. The other is a pretty big deal. And we do have updates for both of these. So starting things off, and we're talking the not so big deal one, it says AMD apparently, now this has been updated, disabled power on the RX 7900 USB-C connector. This happened with a new driver update, and it says USB-C power charging has been disabled for Radeon RX 7900 series graphics products. Users requiring this feature are recommended to use AMD Software Adrenaline Edition version 25.3.1. Basically, they want you to roll it back to an older driver. Now, like I said, this story has been updated. AMD has since come out and said, this is what they said: "We'd like to inform you that the release notes that AMD Software blah 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 posted today included misinformation that has been corrected." Basically, there is no change to the USB-C functionality on the RX 7900 series GPUs. And for those who may not really know about this, basically it offers power delivery as well as, it's not data, it's effectively display output through USB-C. I believe you're even able to, although I'm not 100% sure that it offers enough power, but a few different monitors, I believe you can actually supply output as well as power to the monitor, so you don't have to have a power plug hooked up to it. But you can also do things like charge your phone or something like that off of the outputs of the graphics card. Like I said, not that big of a deal here, but AMD did go back and say that that was a mistake. Now, I do want to point out, this is something I'm not really seeing anyone discuss. That is very specific wording. It definitely makes me think, I mean, this was clearly written up to say that it would do this. I'm not really sure, but if I were to speculate, I would say that AMD is likely going to get rid of this in the future. I have no proof of that, no information on it, but like I said, it's just odd that they would have even included that at all. Someone had to write that up, and it could just be for a future update. But regardless, like I said, the really big issue is not that. The really big issue was the fact that within this driver as well, it says, quote, "New game support and expanded Vulkan extension support is available to Radeon RX 7000 and 9000 series graphics products." That's weird. Why didn't they mention RX 6000 and RX 5000? Well, that's because they aren't supported anymore. Now, like I said, AMD has done some updates to this, but it's really not good. So the first update that they actually did is they said, quote, "RDNA 1 and RDNA 2 graphics cards will continue to receive driver updates for critical security fixes and bug corrections to focus on optimizing and delivering new and improved technologies for the latest GPUs." And so, yeah, basically what they're saying is that this is correct. We are still going to offer updates and things like that, but for the most part, it is correct. They are losing day one game optimizations. Really, really bad, especially when we're talking RX 6000, because even when it comes to discrete GPUs, the most recent one was released just 2 years ago. But it actually gets way worse because, as Hardware Unbox points out, the brand new Asus ROG Xbox Ally handheld also runs on RDNA 2 GPU within the APU. Obviously, RX 6000 is RDNA 2, so are they supporting that? I mean, this just came out. And this brought about another update. I think it's pretty obvious that AMD did not expect people to be this mad about it, but I definitely think they should. I mean, 2 years is completely absurd. And so in this new statement, they said, quote, "New features, bug fixes, and game optimizations will continue to be delivered as required by market needs in the maintenance mode branch." So this is basically a different branch of the drivers called maintenance mode branch. And these are really just supposed to get more critical bug fixes and things like that, sort of how Windows does with their older operating systems before they completely cancel them. But here they're saying, well, we are going to give game optimizations. I believe they even mention at one point day one game optimizations, but as required by market needs. What does that mean? Well, I'll tell you what that means. It's market speech. It's just whenever we feel like it, or potentially even worse, just whenever you guys decide to stop focusing on this, we'll just take it away then. I mean, it's clear that this is what AMD intended, and it's clear that this is just to try and make people feel better about it. This is a major issue. What's wild is that AMD's apparently expanded their software team, but primarily to work on things like ROCm, which is their software suite to compete with NVIDIA's CUDA, meaning all for AI. Now, I do understand why companies are doing this. It's where a ton of the money is right now, but this is completely unacceptable. I could understand the RX 5000 series, but especially when we're talking about APUs for RDNA 2, this statement from them doesn't look good at all. Some people are saying that it's them capitulating, but not really. It's clear that they still want the ability to stop supporting them. So we have to make sure that we stay on AMD with this and watch out for further loss of support. And lastly for today, AMD just confirmed not only the long-rumored codename for Zen 6, but also something pretty huge. As you can see right down here, it says AMD has confirmed its commitment to OpenSIL, or Open Firmware, for next-gen Zen 6-based Ryzen Medusa. So you can see it right here. Let me pull it up. It says Zen 6 AMD Ryzen Medusa CPUs, which, like I said, that is a code name that's been going around for a little while now, and yes, it has been confirmed. This is obviously the Ryzen 10,000, or if they do in fact name it Ryzen AI, once again, please don't AMD, but regardless, like I said, they are also confirming that it supports OpenSIL, which is really cool. This is an open source firmware that AMD is working on, and it's also going to be coming to EPYC Venice. It's also going to be coming to Zen 4 Ryzen Phoenix CPUs, but basically instead of the proprietary AGISA code that they effectively send out to board partners to create BIOS updates with, this is for the firmware, they're now open sourcing it. This should mean that we get to see just how secure it is. People are able to make it more secure. It should make it more secure. It should make time to market quite a bit faster. So basically, BIOS updates should start coming quite a bit faster than what they have in the past. They should be more secure. This really is good, and it will likely force other manufacturers to do the same. This is a really big step when it comes to CPUs, and apparently it is coming to Zen 6. Not only that, but they also state here planned open source POR release first half of 2027. Now, I'm not 100% sure if that means that Zen 6 is releasing in the first half of 2027, but it likely does because it mentions other releases that are even sooner. See, if this was just for OpenSIL when it's coming to Zen 6 and not necessarily when Zen 6 is releasing, you would think all of them would say in the first half of 2027, unless, of course, with it being newer, maybe it just takes more time to do, but it does seem likely that they are effectively confirming that the new CPUs are coming, like I said, in the first half of 2027. So while that does it for today, what do you think about AMD ending support for RDNA 1 and 2 GPUs? I mean, technically they're saying that they aren't ending it, but it's clear by their first statement that they want to, and that from their second statement, they still pretty much for sure will, or at least maybe sometimes they'll release good stuff. Regardless, let me know what you think about that down in the comments below. And if you liked the video, please subscribe and give it a thumbs up. And as always, have a great day.